In modern society, we have scientifically mapped out the mind and the body. But what do we really know about the spirit and the nature of spirituality? Spirituality means something different to everyone. For some, it's about participating in organized religion and going to church. For others, it may be more personal. Some people get in touch with their spiritual side through private prayer, yoga, meditation, quiet reflection, or even long walks. Many people use spirituality as a form of healing or for self-transformation. My understanding of spirituality has developed over a period of time. Once I started to realize that my thoughts, how I treat my body, and my spiritual practices affect my everyday life, I started to fall in love with the process of transformation. Wanting to understand this information on a deeper level, I talked with professionals to help shed light on the nature of spirituality. Much like fitness, spirituality is a transformation from within. In the world we live in today, we are always looking for satisfaction outside of ourselves. We want others to tell us how good we look or how good of a job that we are doing. We look for supplements to change our bodies, take drugs to make us happy, and try to find God on a scientific level. Looking outside of ourselves can only give us so much satisfaction until we have to keep searching on or move on to something different to give ourselves meaning. Most of us never take that dive inside of our internal world to help find meaning in our lives. There is an axis of consciousness that is connected to God and our spirit that allows us to have experiences for us to understand that transformation in spirituality begins from within. Within the deepest part of everyone's soul, we all want to be loved and accepted.
And what I learned in my 20s at one point, but really didn't pay close enough attention, was that people usually enter the helping and healing profession where they need the most help for themselves. So in my late 20s, early 30s, I started to work with adolescents in short-term adolescent treatment centers. And then it started to occur to me that I was one of them, except I was in my late 20s, early 30s. And then I started to put together that the impact that my growing up in a highly dysfunctional, alcoholic, abusive family had on me informed and influenced my life, both in ways that were helpful and ways that were hurtful. So shortly after that, I was about, I'm guessing 27, 28, and my father committed suicide. And it was a direct result of what I just said. That he grew up in a system similar to the one that he created. So having heard myself say that, what occurs to me, even as we speak, is the depth of thought, feeling, and emotion that still resonates in my body, flows in my blood, and I can feel it in my bones. So that was the catalyst. That's what got me into this line of work. I think energy is multidimensional. If we use the experience that we're just having, I'm certainly experiencing a strong flow of energy. And at the moment, and in the previous moments, the energy that I was experiencing was driven by emotion. And I was feeling emotional, which was obvious. I was also feeling surges of energy, which were related to, I believe, the unpacking yet one more time of my story and publicing myself and being witnessed. And I believe that when one is witnessed telling their story, there's an energy that starts to flow. And that energy has a quality and a frequency that supports a healing process. And when that energy isn't unleashed, if you will, and allowed to flow, it creates conditions that don't support growth, quite frankly. So if you harness energy, it usually will come out sideways in some way. When you allow the energy to flow and you pay attention to the quality and frequency of it and use it in service of healing, it adds a dimension to one's life that if you don't use it in that way and you harness it, it will come out sideways and be more destructive than healing. That's one of the ways that I experience energy if we use this time that we're experiencing in this moment as an example.
In order for us to love and to be accepted, we must ultimately be happy with ourselves. We have all heard the quote, "If you are not happy with yourself, then you cannot be happy with others." And this could not be more true. The society that we have been born into has done a great job at putting labels on people and telling them what they can and cannot do. Life is hard, and that is just the truth. Some people let negative life experiences control them for the rest of their lives.
In spiritual traditions, they often talk about thinking laterally and living symbolically, rather than vertically. Everything's vertical in this culture. It's a top-down, culture. So when you think laterally and you live symbolically, you create a lot more space. It's more expansive. So when it's more expansive, I expand. You put me in an expansive space and condition, then I'm going to expand into it. Rather than constrict, restrain. So when going back to the original one of the original parts of our conversation when I was sharing some of my story, when you grow up in environments that are abusive and dysfunctional, there's a rigidity. There's no flexibility, and there's a narrowing. And what we're talking about is something very different. We're talking about living in a more expanded way. So more expansion, more space, more room, if you will. You got to create the space. If someone doesn't create the space for me to grow and create the conditions for me to grow, my growth is going to be stunted.
Once we are able to understand that we are not these experiences and that we can change from within, then that is when the fun begins. We start to let go of fears and really believe in ourselves again. We start to give ourselves meaning instead of looking for it from others. We shift from negative to positive in just one moment. Today we are on our way up to visit Nemacolin Woodlands Resort. We're going to the Holistic Healing Center. We're also going to more or less talk to these professionals on a scientific level and a spiritual level, just because they both do coexist. It's sometimes hard to get a message across to someone when you're just talking from a spiritual perspective because there's no tangible evidence there for the person to understand what you're trying to tell them. So all this is about is transformation and being the best self that you can be every day and working hard and making the right choices in each and every moment of your life to create an ultimate outcome. And once you start to get on this type of lifestyle and this way of living, it's very captivating. There's something about self-transformation that is just so captivating. Like seeing where someone is at one point in their life and then seeing where they end up is something to me that is just so beautiful. Transformation is just so beautiful because anybody can do it, and you can do it at the snap of the finger, the drop of the hat, whenever you want to do it. You just have to consciously decide on doing it.
My first experiences with energy work was receiving services, not really knowing what I was experiencing, but having really positive experiences. So Reiki is working with the universal life force energy. So it is the energy that is in all of us and around us and in everything. Energy is everything. So as a Reiki practitioner, you really gives you an opportunity to step your ego to the side and just allow the energy to flow. So it's not tied to any religion, it's not tied to any specific spirituality, it's more about just the life force energy that's in all of us and around all of us and allowing it to flow. So our bodies and our minds have a natural ability to heal. So a Reiki practitioner is attuned, what we call attuned, to allow that energy to flow through them and allow the energy within the person that you're working on to balance itself. So the chakras are energy centers. So they're a vortex of energy, and each chakra vibrates at a specific level and is associated with different things. So by working with Reiki on the chakras, you're working to make sure that the vibration is proper for that chakra. So depending on what's going on in your life or what has happened in your past or what you hope to accomplish in the future and what's on your mind, the chakras may slow down or speed up or become stagnant or overwhelmed, and the energy isn't flowing, spinning the way that it should be, the direction it should be, or the speed that it should be. So that's where imbalance and disease comes into play. There are many chakras, but we focus mostly on 7 main chakras. And those 7 chakras correlate with the hand positions that you use in Reiki. So you are going through the chakras, balancing the chakras, and you're placing your hands in specific, you have a routine that you follow, although a lot of it is intuition and you don't have to follow it specifically, but you do have hand positions that you use in Reiki that are associated with the specific chakras. The chakras, I like to split them in half and think of your higher chakras and your lower chakras. Your lower chakras are associated with more things that are around you, more tangible things, your finances, your relationships with people, your job, the things that get you up in the morning. Those are your lower chakras. Your higher chakras are the ones that are associated with your spirituality, your connection with higher self, your intuition, the things that you know that you're here for a purpose. So the different chakras, for example, the root chakra is the first chakra, and it is associated with the color red. It is associated with your feeling grounded, connected. When your chakra is balanced, your root chakra, you're able to, it's connected to your work, your family, your finances, all those things that make you feel stable. Are connected to your root chakra, so it's also the color red. And you can use different crystals, focus on a color, and different things to help you balance those chakras as well. The second chakra, the sacral chakra, is orange in color, and it represents the sexual organs in the body. It represents our connections with other people, our relationships. So if there's trauma in that chakra, from past, maybe sexual abuse or inability to recognize or connect with yourself in that way, then that chakra becomes imbalanced, and it can be represented in different ways in your body or your emotions as well. So then the next one is the solar plexus, which is yellow. A lot of times I like to think of this one as the sun. The solar plexus is your drive, your ambition, what gets you up in the morning and what makes you want to go further in your job or take that next level. It really pushes you forward, your solar plexus. And then also you have your anxiety and things that you feel in your solar plexus. So if you really are wanting to go up to your boss and discuss going to the next level. You may feel that a lot in your solar plexus. Coming up from the solar plexus, then we go into the heart chakra. The heart chakra is green, and that is your universal love, your Christ consciousness. So the heart chakra actually expands out through into the hands. This is how we give and receive. The heart chakra, when imbalanced, we may feel lack of compassion. We may feel heaviness often in our chest. We may do really short breaths, breathe really, really shallow on the heart chakra. But when the heart chakra is open and balanced, we feel that we all want to feel and need to feel that universal love and connection with everything. So that's when you're beginning your higher chakras. Coming up from there, we have the throat chakra. The throat chakra is the blue color, and it is represented by the thyroid gland. The throat chakra, that is one that I have worked on a lot over my life. The throat chakra was one that in different times when I was looking to achieve things or express myself, I go frequently to the throat chakra because, that is our expression. So we have our personalities, our life experiences that make us unique, and we need to be able to express them, whether through our voice or through the pen or through expression of dance or yoga or anything. So the throat chakra is the thyroid. It's how we express ourselves, and when it's open, we are saying what we really need to say, and we're not hurting anyone in that process. From the throat chakra, we move into the third eye. The third eye is our intuition. It is more of an indigo color. The third eye, as our intuition grows, as we listen to our instincts, the third eye begins to expand. So I think a lot of us, sometimes we have fear of listening to our intuition, or it's not until after something happens and you knew it was going to happen, and then after it happens is when you say, I knew that was going to happen. So our intuition, we definitely want to work on the third chakra and the third eye, and make sure that we're not afraid to listen to our intuition, and that's what guides us and makes us make the right decisions. And coming up from the third eye, then we are at the highest chakra, the seventh chakra. And that is our connection to our higher self, our God connection. So in balancing the higher chakras, you're balancing all the ones below. So this is your highest chakra, your intuition, or your connection with God. It allows you to feel when you're open with your seventh chakra, then you are at peace, you're harmony, you're feeling that overall connection, that all the other chakras are balanced. And when you're imbalanced in that chakra, it can be connected to, headaches or just overall lack of energy and things like that. I mean, you have to take into account all aspects, especially if you want the results to be long-term. A lot of times we just, especially in Western medicine, we look at the ailment or exactly what we want to address, and we're not looking at the big picture. And then that's why things aren't long-term for us. So you need to look at the mind, body, spirit. And I think it's important too, because you don't want to put that instant limitation on what you need to achieve. Once you open up and you're looking at every avenue, then it's amazing how many other things open up for you. And you could achieve a lot more than you ever thought if you're looking at it from all aspects. You're doing really good.
Spirituality to me understand that spirit within us that actually that full of bliss and happiness and strength and all possibilities within everybody. And when you reach deeply within yourself, and you sort of reach the source of yourself, and through that source, you see everybody has that source, and you can always return to it, and you can consume or unlock that limitation you've been posted in your mind in the past. You can throw them off and become a sort of bright star or shiny sun again. That blissful person you can actually achieve, and that enthusiasm becomes so positive. So there's absolutely zero doubts almost.
It's almost like being pulled towards it rather than being.
It's affecting you. You see, that's what exactly happening, because we all the child of the light, and we extremely. It's not just we're power, we're a power itself. So we're power itself. We just have to think about this all the time and act from that perspective. Once we act from perspective of light, of that higher spirit within us, entire body will transform, raise, and become perfect itself. In one of my also another meditation, everybody should know this. I believe people should also reach that. It's nothing special about it. It's just a matter of desire. One of my meditation was another meditation. I was meditating, and I guess just like every day, it was totally unexpectedly happened to me. I felt electrical, almost like currency, top of my head. It was just like almost like a punching you in your head with some kind of current, like a frequency. It was like a boarding right in your head in this area. When it's happening, it looks like it raises vibratory action of your either pineal gland or your brain, your eyes. I don't know how to explain in details. You start seeing from your top of your head. When it's happened in the final vibration, those tapping is pretty much finished, I saw the light above me. It's incredible, extremely bright, it's just white, extremely bright sorts of light. It was very unexpectedly, and I couldn't focus too long. I didn't want to expect. It was just happened not for my willpower. It just happened by itself. This is our higher presence, and this is what your light body is. And you're connected from that light body. It goes the silver cord right to your heart. This is why heart has so much power. This is why heart talks of wisdom. Heart knows before even human mind can comprehend. Because above you, that powerful, powerful being, in Bible system it's called guardian angel. Some people say it's a light body. I am present, and whatever they call it, that's what the Buddhist people, they're raising in that body. But it's us. This is our original source within us. That's the source of all your energy, which is stored within us. And that's the light body expressing. He's expressing through this physical body. The consciousness we have in our mind, it's just a partial of his consciousness, a pretty much universal extreme consciousness, basically. So we get this energy from the higher source every day. We get energy from the food source, and definitely if food is more natural, more raw, more in pristine state, they have more light substance, more light energy, and at the end, like you pick up from garden, that's the highest source of pretty much like original state of energy. Being in the light, being in the sun, we get energy from air, we get energy through meditation. You've been charged with this being when you meditate, actually. When your senses go inward deeply, you're not exposing your way. It stays actually here. It stays within you. But through emotional excesses and anger or hate or let's say excesses in sex and everything, we drain this energy and never really experience the power of it. Instead of actually maintain a perfect balance of that life within you. This is the source of life. This is what can make things happen, anything positive from this energy. There's an endless amount of energy we have. We have tremendous. This is our source. That's what I learned from me, and I believe I've seen it. And I believe everybody should know that, and everybody can achieve anything they can possibly desire you can possibly achieve pretty much. There's no, that's what we call human creation. Somebody give you different ideas that you cannot, it doesn't exist in the form of light, in the life. Life doesn't understand limitation. Life is a perpetual motion and expressing love. Love is the number one emotion from that source. He has only one emotion, the emotion of love. Love is perfection.
We just left the Holistic Healing Center where we did our interview with Alec and Stephanie, both beautiful people with tons of information. I've noticed that those two, Stephanie and both Alec, have beautiful careers and great futures ahead of them. They're living their dream, and they have done it by utilizing this type of information. So once you talk about this type of stuff and you can kind of see it from the beginning and see how it unfolds, it's good to talk to people that are kind of on that same wavelength as you and have the same thought processes, because not only does it make you realize that you're not crazy, but it also makes you realize that you're on the right path and you're doing the right things, you're making the right choices, and just keep on keeping on and walk by faith. All right, we're on Ellsworth Avenue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, here at Pittsburgh Float Tanks. We're going to try sensory deprivation today. It's been something that I wanted to do for a long time, and we're finally here. This is actually our last interview. I'm very excited to get started, and welcome to Pittsburgh Float Tanks.
It's basically depriving your senses. You essentially don't feel anything, you don't hear anything, you don't see anything. So I typically tell people it's like floating in black space. It's an enclosed vessel. It's about 8 foot long, 4 foot wide. There are some different shapes and sizes, but my tanks are Samadhi tanks. It was actually the first commercial tank engineered. The people that developed this tank worked side by side with John Lilly, who developed floating and sensory deprivation tanks. It ranges from mental to physical, deep states of meditation, physical aspects. I personally like to use it a lot for recovery of the body. Typically when I'm sore, tired, essentially want to take a nap, I like to get in the tank.
Have you ever had any profound stories told you after someone came out of the tank?
One of the most interesting things that's happened, I actually had my employee working here, so I didn't put the woman in the tank, but I received an email that was saying, from her float, I don't remember exactly what happened in the tank, but she came out and thought that she needed to go get a breast exam. So she went and did this about 2 weeks after, and was informed that she did in fact have some sort of breast cancer, and had some procedure done where they were able to deal with it, or whatever you want to.
That's crazy. The body and her mind was definitely telling her something.
Yeah, and she sent me this email thanking me that she was able to come in and float, and was brought this to her attention and save it before it became an issue.
Even if it's just the only person that, you definitely help, right?
I mean, yeah, if this saved this woman's life, I mean, how wonderful is that?
It's amazing. That's what it's about, man. Helping people and, utilizing the energy around you to just impact people's lives. And you're doing that, and it's, you can definitely see it, you can definitely feel it. And, thank you for having us here and interested to float, interested to try it out. Can we do that? Can we try the tanks?
Please, by all means.
So we're about to float for the first time. Throughout this whole thing, it's about building your dreams and working hard to create, your ultimate reality that you have going on inside your mind and that vision. And it can definitely be stressful, can definitely take a toll not only on your mind and your body, but, your higher connection with your higher self. Being able to do something like sensory deprivation, for ultimate deep relaxation is something that I think is vital for everybody to try.
I'm very interested to see what I'm like on the other side when I come out.
This will be my actually second experience with a float tank. This time my intention though is to embrace the newness of every day and embrace the newness of every experience. To not think that you just know what it's going to be like because you've experienced it before. And I feel like a lot of times this is how like so many of us, especially myself, get like stressed with work, right? We go into work and we think like, well, been here before, know what today's going to bring. I know the routine. It's always the same thing. We perceive it to be the same thing. It might physically act out the same way, but it's never the exact same experience. It's never the exact same interaction. So that's my intention. Obviously I'm excited too, but yeah, that's it. Here we go.
Lost all perception of time. At first it was real weird going in, like I was hitting on the sides. I couldn't really find like a sturdy point where I could stay still. And then once I like finally could stay still, I started to think a lot. And pretty crazy experience. Thought about a lot of things, and yeah, man, thought about a lot of things and didn't think about a lot of things. So which was awesome. It was such a perfect balance of just like awareness and nothingness. And I can't get over that sensation of like just like being something but being nothing at the same time. Was just like literally so crazy. I don't know. That was awesome. Definitely would love to do that again. That was one of the most relaxing things. I feel like a completely brand new person. My skin feels better. I feel like I have more energy. I like felt like I was only supposed to be in there for an hour. I'm pretty sure I was in there for an hour and 47 minutes. That was crazy. That was yeah, everybody should definitely try sensory deprivation if they're trying to relax. So yeah, it was a good time.
For probably the second half of the float was just in another world, in another state. I don't know how to describe it, but it's something I definitely want to try again, something that I would definitely recommend to others, something I definitely want to experience it again.
I literally just got out of the shower, still kind of trying to digest everything. It's crazy to think about a lot of things right now, to think about time, how we envision time being linear. It's crazy to think about really just our soul existence. And knowing for a fact that we're aware that we exist. Beyond just the physical, we're aware of something. I mean, think about even when you fall asleep at night and you dream, you're still aware of you. But so often we think like we are the physical body. But when we're dreaming, we don't think that we are in a bed. We think that we are in the dream. I think we're onto something there, that our soul is traveling or experiencing multiple levels of existence, not just this physical world, because the soul itself is limitless, it can go anywhere. I guess it was somewhat an out-of-body experience this time around for me. Totally lost track of time.
Sometimes things happen to you in your life that you didn't expect or might come out of nowhere, and something like that recently just happened with Nick.
Whenever Justin asked me to be a part of his program, I was very excited. We've been good friends for a long time, and I was excited to help him on this project. And at first I was focused on the physical aspect of things. Since we've began, I've lost 35 pounds. I'm down from 184 to 150. I haven't been this light since high school. Just to get to that bottom weight, I've stopped eating meat, fish for the last 36 days. I feel great. I have much more energy. My digestive system's been much more regular and much more consistent, so to speak. And I'm physically stronger. I'm, much more agile. I'm, much more physically fit. But what I didn't realize going into this whole program was that this is so much more than simply becoming physically, becoming physically better. This is about having a conscious mind. This is about your mind and your spirit just as much as your body. While this happened, about 1 week later, my brother graduated from college. It was a day of celebration. We went to his graduation around 11 o'clock after a good 5-6 hours of drinking. My parents said, hey, let's call it a night, let's get back to the hotel. But the college kid in me said, heck no, I'm gonna stay out here with the kids and help them celebrate the day. We all go out to a local establishment where we knew some people, got some drinks there, and while I was there, I lost my focus in this whole program. I lost my conscious mind, and I blacked out, so to speak, and ended up getting into some legal trouble, which ultimately cost me my position as a financial advisor with the company I was at. So for the last few months, I've actually been unemployed. Whenever I started, I said I wanted to become a better version of myself, and to a very large degree I have. But that one evening where I chose to put my conscious mind aside and partake in too much alcohol and got away from myself, it ended up creating a large hurdle that I now need to cross, and I'm in the process of doing so. Today's yoga session, I really enjoyed when Dave said that each breath is a rebirth and each exhale is a mini death, because if you are unable to let go of the past, and if you're too worried about the future, then you'll never live in this moment. And so through the help of some friends, I was able to realize that I'm wasting time whenever I'm beating myself up. Sure, it's important to take this seriously, which I have, and I'm monumentally embarrassed about my actions, but all that aside, it did happen, and there's no sense in hiding from the truth, because the truth will set you free.
Spirituality is a connection to something bigger than ourselves, and it typically involves a search for meaning in life. Spirituality can be understood as a universal human experience. It is something we all can share and that touches us all. Many people go through this life thinking there is no purpose and that what we think, say, do, and believe has no effect on our internal and external worlds. Quite honestly, it is the complete opposite. Everything that we think, say, do, and believe actually becomes the embodiment of our lives and how we live them. This is why I believe spiritual practices to be so important during a transformation. The way that I have come to understand spirituality is that it is a discipline of a full-time practice. Utilizing energy in the most efficient way possible is a good way for someone to practice their spirituality. Thinking positive, treating your body with the right food and exercise, and one's overall beliefs are a perfect example of disciplines to master in order to chase that best version of yourself. To me, that's what spirituality is all about. Doing the right things, chasing dreams and visions, and acting on those day in and day out until those dreams become a reality.
I think I've beaten myself up enough over that instance, and I'm starting to realize that I have accomplished a lot and I have learned a great deal since we began this program. We interviewed many professionals in many different fields who have opened up my mind to a different way of thinking. The ultimate thing that I've learned through this is that you got to truly seize every day. I don't want to sound cliche, but you have to have a carpe diem mindset to take advantage of every situation. You always have the future in mind, and you always keep the past in the back of your mind. You learn from that. You plan towards your goals, but if you don't take action in the present, then everything that is said and done and that you want to happen will not, because
There's no intention.
Exactly. This has been an incredible experience for myself. Not one that I expected, but one that I am incredibly happy that I embarked upon. This process has changed my life for the better, and I'm confident in saying that, regardless of what others might think and regardless of what happened to myself, I'm going to be a better person at the end of the day because of the values that are instilled through this program.